To Almost Private. This is a podcast where we sit with the quiet, layered parts of life and the little truths we don't always say out loud. This is a space for reflection, curiosity, and the beauty we find along the way. I'm Mariah, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today's episode, I want to dive into the topic of learning to trust yourself again. However, before we start, I always like to share what's in my cup. So today I am drinking some jasmine tea. The aroma of this tea is immaculate. I love the scent jasmine, and just to have it in tea form so that you constantly get a whiff of it as you're tasting it and it is going down in your body. It is definitely relaxing me and helping me step into this conversation with a level of vulnerability that I don't always like to have, but I definitely need to have. So I definitely want to dive into today's conversation. So I feel like it's something that's reoccurring in my life, and I feel like somebody out there can also relate. At least I hope you can relate. But if you can't, it is what it is. It just kind of is what it is. A few months ago now, I was getting a massage. And as I was getting a massage, I started to feel like a certain level of release within my shoulders. So if you know anything about the body and where you store different emotions, your shoulders sometimes can hold on to a burden type of feeling or weighing down within your shoulders that is stored. And so when she was working out the muscles in my shoulders, because I tend to be really tight in my shoulders, it's where I personally hold a lot of feelings and emotions. And while she was working on my shoulders, I started to feel like I was being cracked open, and I wanted to really lean into the emotion that I was feeling. And one thing that just kept being repeated to me in my mind was, you've spent all these years feeling like you needed to be different in order to be enough. So that's very heavy for me, because that is something that I can say I definitely struggle with, is the feeling of needing to be different. Just this last week, I said out loud that I don't even know what the different that I feel like I need to be is. And so for me to have a feeling of needing to be different, but not even knowing what the different is, to me is just a lie that I have either heard or that I'm telling myself. Now, I want to preface this by saying, I don't mean not growing. Because if I'm honest, I've grown in so many ways and I've evolved in so many ways. But even in my evolution, I still had a deep sense of you need to be different, even though you're growing. You need to be different, even though you're in a new space. You need to act different. You need to speak different. You need to carry yourself different. You need to make the people around you feel good because they need you to be different. And whatever it is, this word different and needing to be different has always just been something that has hovered over me. I am stepping out of that, Not going to say that I won't ever have times where I may feel this way, but I definitely need to step out of it. I realize that this is something that has shaped so many relationships and opportunities in my life, where I will be standoffish first in order to protect myself. I will try to protect myself even if there's not even something going on that I feel like I need to protect myself. And I do this because I'm feeling like before they even express that I need to be different, I can just be standoffish or I can just remove myself from a situation. I don't know that I've had the confidence of hearing a way that I need to be different. Now, I will say this also is there are some people who just constantly want you to be something else. When I say something that's different, it's not necessarily not someone that you don't trust or someone that you don't truly value their input is saying to you. I'm not saying people can't be right, but I am saying that there's like a fine line. Okay. There is a fine line. And if I'm going to change or evolve, it needs to be something that I am coming to the conclusion about and moving forward with that, and not something that someone who may be projecting is telling you that you need to do. Because that's also a thing. Okay. I also felt like some of the different that I needed to be was the connection that I had with people. I felt like that connection wasn't sufficient, whereas now I do feel like it is sufficient. And I think maybe this comes with age, and this comes with growth, and this comes with acceptance of yourself, and this comes with trusting that you are going to do what's best for you, and you are going to do what's best for you as far as connections. So I do feel like my connections now are sufficient, and I feel like they are strong. And whenever they're reciprocated, I understand that I'm in the right space with the right person. I do understand that we are not everyone's cup of tea, and I don't actually think we need to be everyone's cup of tea. And I don't think you need to go out of your way to not be someone's cup of tea. When I'm saying that, I'm saying that about myself, not necessarily about anyone else, but just being able to learn that how you operate and the values that you have within yourself and the people that you trust and the people that you love, when they can see you, if they can see you, trust that you can see you too. Right? Like sometimes I feel like that lack of trust comes from not being able to fully see yourself or not being fully acceptant of yourself. It's not always going to be 100, but if you can have just a little bit of acceptance of yourself, learn to trust that that is good and that is sufficient and that you want to continue to move forward. And the way that you learn to trust yourself is by keeping your word with yourself, constantly reminding yourself of the ways that you want to trust yourself. So for me, mine is to not be so standoffish in new environments. And so I've been doing what I call a social experiment, which is really just talking to people. It's the funniest thing. If I'm in a store, I'll talk to at least one person. Or if I'm walking, I'll say hi to at least one person instead of like walking around acting like I can't hear or whatever the case may be. Not to hold a full conversation, but just to hear my own voice. And I think that that is something that kind of helps me as well. For me, learning to trust yourself, again, a big part of that for me is to understand that I am still learning. I am a beginner. And whenever you're relearning something, you're relearning it as a beginner. You have your experience, but you're still a beginner. And so just understanding that you are still learning and you're learning yourself in this new environment that you're in, this new space, this new age, this new career, this new role, whether that is motherhood, friendships, being a sister, being a brother, stepping into that and learning as you're continuing to go. Because one thing that reigns true is even though I am a sister, so I have siblings. I can't be the sister that I was 10 years ago. I've changed, they've changed. And part of learning to trust my connections and that they are sufficient is to understand that I am still learning and that they are still learning. And we're all still learning. This is the first time that I have lived on this earth. And this is the first time that they have lived on this earth. And we are all first time people. And we just have to realize that sometimes that trust wavers, goes and it comes, it goes and it comes. But what I will say is don't be afraid because you may like the new version and new story of yourself better than whenever you weren't trusting yourself. You may like it now. And even if you don't like it now, that's part of learning and evolving, trusting that, hey, I don't like this. I'm going to make a pivot. I'm going to change. I want to say that I'm still figuring all of this out as I hope to continue to always be learning about myself and about other people and about life. I hope to always have this feeling of openness and free flowing and understanding of life with boundaries because those are important. But if you ever felt like you had to change who you are to be loved or to be accepted, I want to share this reminder with you that you don't. I feel like you have to change to be loved and accepted by yourself, not by external parties. No one's going to love you like you want to be loved until you love yourself like you need to be loved. So if you feel like you're doing it for someone else, you have to do it for you, changing for yourself, and that just flows over to changing for others to feel that change. You're not too much. You're not too little. You're just where you need to be and continue to evolve. The right people will meet you where you are. So I have a question that I want to ask you all. Where have you been protecting yourself instead of trusting yourself? And what might it feel like to soften into who you truly are? Drop a comment down below answering this question. I will definitely put my answer in the comments too to start the conversation. I would love to be able to grow this into a community of people who want to have a safe space for reflection and different perspectives. Thank you for listening to the Almost Private podcast. I'm Mariah, and until next time, may you find the beauty in all parts of your life. Bye.